There is a problem with technical Minecraft. People believe that there is only 3 ways to harvest sugarcane. Number 1 is using the player, number 2 is using pistons, and number 3 is using explosives. But there is a 4th, Ravagers. So out of spite, I'm going to make a sugarcane farm, plus many other farms using Ravagers. In this video, I'm going to be using mostly minecarts to keep the Ravagers under control. This video is heavily inspired by a YouTuber named Squibble, so if you like this video, you'll also like his content. His link will be in the description. If you can't tell, I actually haven't built the farm yet, so the first farm on the list is sugarcane. I could just make a bone meal powered sugarcane farm with a Ravager, but it's just too efficient, and I've already done most of the work before. If you're wondering, yes, it did give me 2 stacks of sugarcane in the time it took me to say 2 sentences. Yes, this thing is really fast, but I'm gonna move on to a non-bone meal sugarcane farm. After doing some brainstorming, I came up with a layout like this. If we send a Ravager through this setup, it breaks all the sugarcane along the way. To collect the sugarcane on top of the rail, we can send a hopper minecart through. For the sugarcane stuck in between the rails, I was thinking of either using mud with a hopper below it, or a hopper minecart rail going below the entire thing. I think it'd be simplest to do the mud, even though it will take a lot of iron, but I'm too lazy to work with hopper minecarts, so I'm gonna do mud. Why does this look incredibly goofy? After half an hour of AFKing, I got around 17 stacks of sugarcane. And then I thought, well, if this is a sugarcane farm, couldn't I just add bamboo and then it could become a bamboo farm as well? Now onto the bamboo farm. After a bit of problem solving with getting bamboo to work with the farm, this is what I have. First thing you might notice is that there's only sometimes sugarcane. This is because on these sugarcane plants, the bamboo so far to the side, the Ravager does not hit it. So instead of wasting a slot with bamboo, I use it on sugarcane instead. Second thing you might notice is these flashing powered rails. When you flash powered rails in Minecraft Bedrock Edition, instead of the rails stopping the minecart, they make the minecart go slower. This gives more time for the minecart to drop off all the items in the collection system. And this is needed because now we're farming bamboo, and bamboo grows a ton quicker than sugarcane. Moving on to the pumpkin farm. I came up with a layout that I believe will work for the pumpkin farm. It's just like the sugarcane farm, just there are 3 blocks for the pumpkins to spawn on instead of 2, because the middle row needs to be the pumpkin stems. As you can see, the Ravager breaks all the pumpkins along the path. That is the layout that the minecart will take. Okay, now all I need to do is make the item collection system. I have all the pumpkin stems in place, and I have the Ravager in place, and it's already harvesting pumpkins. In half an hour of the machine running, we got 9 3/4 stacks of pumpkins. In other words, this farm produces 19.5 stacks of pumpkins per hour. These pumpkin plants can be replaced with melon plants to turn this farm into a melon farm instead of a pumpkin farm. The next 2 things on the list is a snow farm and a flower farm. The flower farm has a flower down there, and when the flowers grow, then they immediately get crushed by the Ravager. Unlike the bamboo and sugarcane farm, this one's very impractical because there are better designs that use pistons and less hopper minecart and stuff. This one's probably still a little bit faster, just it's not worth it because flower farms are already extremely fast, and usually you don't need shulkers of flowers. On the other hand, this snow farm is very good. There are 4 snow golems that each place down 1 layer per tick. That means this farm produces 80 snowballs per second. 80 snowballs per second. It's so many snowballs that the blocks don't even create particles anymore. Compared to the regular snow farms, this one's way more compact, but it does have the added cost of getting Ravagers, so regular snow farms using pistons are still a good idea sometimes. The next farm is a glowberry Ravager farm. As the Ravager goes along the rails, it pops any glowberries off from the top that have grown down. This one's better than the other designs because glowberries grow from the top down, and we can make full use of the Ravager's top part of its hitbox instead of only its two sides. This is simple enough that if you have a Ravager, this pretty much should be the farm that you're making. I didn't think I was going to say that this video, but this is actually a good glowberry design. Well, if you just forget about flying machines being a thing, but yeah, flying machines are inconsistent, so that's my excuse. But the downside is it is actually really slow. You get a few of these every minute. Another farm I talked about earlier was a mushroom farm. There are mushrooms down here, and they spread to this block over here. And then there's a hopper minecart rail going below it, collecting all those mushrooms. This farm is painfully slow because mushrooms grow painfully slow. In general, this is a pretty bad farm because pistons can do this just more efficiently or get flying machines involved. That's probably something you've taken away from this video. Flying machines are just better. Moving on to the drip leaf farm. Now the farm I'm about to show you is a drip leaf farm. But it's a bit different than a lot of other drip leaf farms where you'll have to continually place drip leaves, because this thing bone meals the drip leaf so fast that the drip leaf can't actually break. This farm uses 9 bone meal dispensers on a 2-tick clock to bone meal 1 piece of drip leaf into the Ravager, and apparently that's enough to keep the drip leaf active without me placing. I'd probably just suggest making the same thing just with pistons because Ravagers are a pain. The final thing on the list is a chorus fruit farm. This is design number 1. It uses pistons to collect the chorus fruit, but it uses the Ravager to collect the chorus flowers. So it's a half-powered Ravager farm. But this one's fully powered by Ravagers. There's no pistons whatsoever, and it farms both chorus fruit and chorus flowers. This minecart is for the player to go into, and through these glass holes, place the chorus fruit whenever that slot is empty. The Ravager's default path is along the side, out, in, out, in, out, in, avoiding the rails closest to the chorus fruit. And then on its way back, it goes in here, which breaks anything on the left side, goes around, in again, breaks the right side of that chorus plant and the left side of that chorus plant. This will result in the entire chorus plant being harvested, except for the middle, every time the Ravager goes through. In the back, there's an RS-NOR latch. Whenever items get entered, it switches the RS-NOR latch, and then this rail flips. So once items are detected, in this case, chorus flowers, then the rail gets flipped, Ravager goes into this block and breaks the chorus plant completely. So the player can now place a new one. To wrap up this video, I put all these farms onto a tier list to discuss which ones are actually plausible for survival builds and which ones are complete trash. Starting off with the 2 farms that are complete trash, the chorus fruit farm and the flower farm. Simply using pistons makes these 2 farms faster and cheaper. And then the mushroom farm in D tier, if you get creative with how you use pistons, pistons are just simply better than Ravagers. Here in D tier, we have the pumpkin farm. Flying machines are just so much better than the Ravager farm that I just had to put it this low. And melons get into C tier because melons are better than pumpkins. The sugarcane farm is also in C tier. Flying machine sugarcane farms aren't quite as good as melon and pumpkin flying machine farms, so that's why sugarcane is so high. And now we get into the farms that I would actually consider building in survival. The drip leaf farm. Debatably, this could be put higher up into A tier. It's 2 times more efficient because the piston isn't blocking the drip leaf half the time, and it's smaller because it breaks the drip leaf every tick instead of every 4 ticks. And then the glowberry farm. This is here simply because it's such a simple design, even though flying machines can do it just as good. Ignoring flying machines, just like the glowberry farm, this is a really good farm. It's better than just simply pistons. But flying machines are still way better than Ravagers. And then here in A tier, we have the snowball farm, simply because it is 8 times faster than pistons. That's enough of a change that this is the most practical one to use in survival. When I say most practical, I mean the only one that actually seems like an okay idea. All these other ones, flying machines and pistons, are just better than it.